What's your favorite movie and why?
Fantastic Mr. Fox. So it actually ties into my testimony. The reason why I really like Fantastic Mr. Fox, or at least the reason why I started liking it, was because when both of my grandparents died, they both died within the same 48 hours. In my house, like upstairs, I just spent hours on end watching Fantastic Mr. Fox on Netflix before it was removed, unfortunately. So I'd watch it, stop, and it helped me stop crying. I was in a different world. Wes Anderson created a completely different space, and it was a space of happiness, of warmth, and of joy. And it was similar to the feeling that I had with my grandparents. So yeah.
Okay, share your testimony first.
Okay, my testimony starts. Okay, you can start when I was a teenager. So when I was a teenager, I was a bit wild, but that's because my parents were they were liberated to an extent. They did believe in enjoying and YOLO and everything, and I loved it. I had a really great time, and they also gave me a lot of freedom. So I was also a boarder, so I was in between places quite a lot, and I had friends in different spaces as well. So I had the cool opportunity to just live a good life in different spaces and go out and everything. But it was like, the American high school experience you saw on early 2000 movies. Yeah. That's what my high school life looked like. And then when I was 18, or just after I turned 18, I turned 18 in April. I was dating this guy who I had been dating the year before, and we broke up because he cheated on me, and then he happy birthday his way back into my life, and I was like, you know what, YOLO at this point. And then that was April, and then May, I was there, but I wasn't there. June, I was there, but I wasn't there. Then come July, and around this time, this was in 2021. So, it was during the second lockdown, and we had just got into lockdown. I think it was around June, we went into lockdown, and then lockdown was coming to an end towards the end of July, beginning of August, and my grandparents got sick. They got sick. When's my dad's birthday? My dad's birthday is on the 21st. So they got sick around the 21st, or around that area. And my dad already finds it really hard to celebrate his birthday because his brother died 2 days before his birthday, a couple of years back, in 2010. And then my grandparents died on the 24th and the 26th. 24th and 26th, yeah. Or 24th and 25th, around there, of July. And my dad's aunt also died on his birthday on the 21st. So it was a really dark time in a space where it was supposed to be joyous and everything. So when they got sick, my dad moved them into our house because there was a nationwide power outage, and we had backup power, and my grandparents' house didn't. So he was like, no, I'm moving them into the house, and they're going to live upstairs, and everyone's moving downstairs. So we did, and then they had a caretaker and everything was going fine. My granddad started healing. My grandma was still finding it pretty hard to get back on her feet. And then she was taken to the hospital because she was really struggling to breathe. And I was like, oh, everything's going to be okay and everything. And I'm just chilling on my bed. And then I got messages from my aunts and uncles telling me my deepest condolences. And I was confused because my parents told me everything's fine. And the reason why they told me this, they didn't tell me later, was because they didn't want my granddad to hear us crying downstairs so that he could still keep fighting. Unfortunately, no one, knew what was up. So we started crying, everyone started wailing and everything, and my granddad started crying, and it was really sad because he was doing it by himself because they were sick with COVID. So he was alone while he was mourning. And then the next day, no, she died on Saturday, and my granddad died Sunday morning. Yeah, Sunday morning at 4 a.m. he died. So he said goodbye to us after my grand died, but we didn't know he was saying bye. He had just come by, he came downstairs to say hello, and he was going for a walk and everything, and he was like, oh, hi, how are you guys? I miss you and everything. And he was like, well, I'll see you guys later and everything. And then the nurse told us that in the middle of the night, he went to the bathroom and he was fine. Everything was like perfect, in fact. And then he went back to bed and he didn't wake up. And then after that, I kept watching Fantastic Mr. Fox continuously on and on and on. And Wes Anderson, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and Roald Dahl, they like kept me locked in. It felt like I was holding their hands as I was going through a really rough time because I didn't know how to process my emotions. I didn't know what to do. Like, I'm meant to be celebrating my dad's birthday. My dad is like in deep mourning. My family's just, it's a mess, and everyone's just like coming to the house. I didn't want anyone in the house, and it was just a mess. And I locked myself in my room and I watched Fantastic Mr. Fox. And I kept on thinking, I don't believe in ancestry, right? And we never did. It's not a thing in Zen. But I was like, imagine if it was real and your grandparents are watching the life you lived in secret. Like, they didn't know what I was doing and all that jazz. No, they were like, they're watching the life you're living or the life that you lived, and they can see everything now. Is this really how you want to continue? Because my grandparents, they were both saved, and my granddad was recently saved again, like 3 years prior. So I was really happy because I was like, they've gone to heaven, you know? And another beautiful thing that my gran used to tell me all the time that I was really scared of was, I'm not scared of death. Matter of fact, I'm excited. And I never understood it until she died. And I was like, wow, she's at peace now. She's happy, and I don't want to make her mad or like sad in heaven if she's now watching me and like can see what I'm doing. And that's when I decided to change. And that's when I decided, okay, let me take Christianity like seriously. Like, almost everyone grew up in church, and almost everyone was like, oh yeah, no, I'm a Christian and all that jazz. But like, most of us were lukewarm. Like, let's be honest, right? And I went to an Anglican school and everything. I had already been baptized. I'd been confirmed into Anglicanism. Yeah, the whole shebang. And I went to chapel on like every Sunday, every Tuesday, but that's because we had to and everything. Because like, I live in a very Christian country, so it was like normal for everything. Like, for everyone, it was just normal to always be at church, to be doing this, but then also living a double life. Do you get what I mean? And I didn't want to live like that anymore, especially if my grandparents were watching. You get what I mean? So I struggled with borderline depression, anxiety, panic attacks. I couldn't talk to people for long periods of time without crying. And mind you, this was in my final year of high school, so I had your equivalent of matric. Yeah, so like A levels, I had that, and I bunked my prelims, I think. Mock exams. Yeah, I bunked those so I could watch Fantastic Mr. Fox. But also, that was happening during the week that my grandparents just died. Like, they died on the 24th and the 25th. 26th was my first exam. Do you get what I mean? So I was like, no. So I bunked those to watch Fantastic Mr. Fox and everything. And then, again, this was when I was at home. I'm a boarder, and schools were opening in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And my parents were like, you're going to have to go back. And I said, please don't send me back. Please, I'll right here in this city. Please don't send me back. Please don't do this to me. And they were like, you're going to have to buck up. It's only 2 months. And I said, okay, fine. And I went back and I locked myself in my room, like continuously. And those times that I was locked in my room, crying, having panic attacks, hyperventilating, just like hating on life, I was also trying to listen to God. I kept on praying. I was like, God, I don't want to feel like this anymore. God, please tell my grandparents I said hi, God this, God that, and just like we built a relationship. So everyone who was like my caretaker, like my house mother and like the house matron, and then like also my teachers, were reporting back to my parents about what was going on. And even my friends, they'd be inviting me out, but I didn't want to go outside, you know? Like, and they all reported back to my parents, and my parents were like, okay, you're gonna have to go to therapy. And I said, what do you mean? I'm perfectly fine. I was not fine. They were like, you're gonna have to go to therapy. So I was forced by everyone who was around me to go to therapy. I wasn't allowed to go to lessons. I wasn't allowed to go to sports. And like, I was a really big sports person. Like, I was in team swimming, team athletics, team cross country. I was in everything. And everyone said, no, you're not doing it until you go to therapy. And I said, okay, that's a bit extreme, but fine. And I went, and I went to therapy, and it was the first time I had gone to therapy, and oh, it was beautiful. I cried for 2 hours straight, and she just listened. And I was like, and thank God she was a Christian like therapist as well, and all that jazz. So she was really hard, like she was really warm, and really tried to like. She taught me the values of what it's like to feel pain as a Christian. I mean, yes, I heard them in church and heard them from my mother because she's like really involved in the church, but they never meant anything to me until the time I actually needed them, or at least the time I realized I needed them. And after that, I was like, I'm gonna turn over a new leaf. I'm gonna stop partying. I'm gonna stop sneaking out of school. I'm gonna stop sneaking out with guys. I'm gonna stop. I didn't do substances, but I was also very experimental. I'm gonna stop doing that and just I'm gonna be normal. Well, at least Christian normal. And then so my friends were like, okay, yeah. I think they thought this was a grief thing. And I'm not friends with those friends anymore. But like we have a mutual understanding. But yeah, I ended up making it to my exams and I passed. Yay! Not as great as I wished, but like also I was grieving. Like, cut me some slack. And my last exam was actually on my granddad's birthday, so it was a very bittersweet moment. I was crying a lot during my exam. So yeah, man, that's how I ended up going to Christ, and I spent a lot of time at home as well, just like taking church more seriously, taking God more seriously, taking my relationship with Him more seriously. And I hate to say it, but it's the truth. I'm really grateful that my grandparents went to heaven, and their death led me to Christ. And I don't want that to be a reality for a lot of different people, where something really drastic or something really bad has to happen for you to accept Christ into your heart. I'd really hate for that to happen. Like, I tell people my testimony, and they're like, this is the scariest testimony I've ever heard. But it's what made me who I am today, and it helps keep me accountable. And it keeps me grounded and really grateful and humble for a lot of the things in my life. So, yeah, that's how I became the Christian you know and love today. Yeah. Christians.
What inspired you to do film school?
Fantastic Mr. Fox. Actually, yes, Fantastic Mr. Fox was part of it. But like, I've always been a performer, right? I'd always been in choir, I'd always been acting in like drama and all that jazz. But then in high school, I chose sports over my arts. But like, that was in extracurriculars. But I was still in literature. I did literature, I did history, and I did language. And a lot of the time it was like performative, and I did a lot of Shakespeare, like, you know how literature goes. But yeah, I was always a big fan of performing and everything, but I never looked at it seriously. Because at this point, also another reason why I crashed out so badly during my grief moment was I was having an identity crisis, because I realized I was living for my grandparents. Like, there's 3 of us in my family, right? Like 3 kids. And I'm firstborn, and I'm the first grandchild. So I was my grandparents' favorite, right? And my sister, second, is my dad's favorite. Like, it's true, right? And then my brother was my mom's, right? And it was understandable, but like, imagine losing the people that you always like vented to. They were always at my galas, they were always at my sports meets, they were always at my prize giving and all that jazz. They were always so proud to see where I'd come. And they kept on drilling in me, Jen, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be a doctor, or whatnot. And that's what I was working towards. I was working towards STEM, And like, I still like STEM, I still do tech and everything, but that's like for fun now. So I had an identity crisis, and I was like, and they were like, yeah, and you're gonna get married, you're gonna live a really great life and all that jazz, and we're gonna see your babies before we die and everything. So I was planning on getting married. Like, right now, I was meant to be married. Do you get what I mean? I'm 22 years old. Well, I'm turning 22. And like, was like, no, I have to have my life figured out and everything. My grandparents have to see my kids. They have to see my prospering life just before they die. So I was working towards that. And then when they died, I realized I don't want that. I realized that's actually not for me. I don't want to do psychology. I don't want to look into, law is boring. Law is so boring. I worked in a law firm for 2 weeks. Oh my word. The most boring 2 weeks of my life. I said, what the heck? And like, we all knew I was an artistic person. We all knew that. Like, most of my prizes come from my art or my poetry or my performances. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I didn't also realize that I wanted to do film quite early. I took a 2-year gap year, but that's because I was fighting with my dad over what to do and where to go. And then I was filling out my visa application to go to Europe because I was going to go do, what was it? I was going to do marketing in Poland. But that's because I was also following a guy. So in the middle of my, yeah, I know. But in the middle of my visa application process and whatnot, God said, no, you're going to South Africa. And I said, South Africa's kind of crazy. But I'm going to listen to you because I was also working on my obedience at that point in time. I was like, okay, I'm going to listen to you. My parents were, and I said, no, I'm going to South Africa. And then I was like, and I'm going to, and I was working as a social media manager at the time as well. So they were like, you should really get qualifications in this. And I said, you know what? Yeah. And then I had a friend who studied at Stelli's, but the photography course. And I was like, hey girl, please can you tell me about your course? I'm looking to do videography. And then she was like, Stelli's is not the place for you. You should look at AFTA. And I said, oh, okay. And then I looked at AFTA and I realized it was a film school. And I said, you know what? YOLO, let me have a good time. Let me go and have, like, movies were already a big part of my life because it was one of the bonding things that I did with my dad as well. So he was really happy and all that jazz. He's like over the moon. Actually, fun fact, he found out what I was studying last year, November. Last year, he's my fee payer. He pays for everything. And when I told him, oh yeah, Dad, my film, he was like, film? I said, yeah, Dad, I study film. I'm producing right now. He said, oh my gosh, you make movies? Why didn't you tell me? And I said, Dad, you signed the documents. Then he was like, that's so cool. I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. So like we always grew up watching TV, movies, and cartoons together. So like it helped grow our relationship as well. So yeah, I was really happy to choose film. And also when I came here, I realized why I was called to Cape Town. I might not be here for a really long time, but like, I love the time that I'm spending here while I am. But yeah.
How do you know that God called you to this industry? And how do you also plan to use this industry for His glory?
Well, I think I explained that with how I knew that, God called me. It came to me very easily. So I know a lot of the time people are like, yeah, I know faith without works is dead, and like, yeah, you need to work for this, you need to work for that and everything. But with my relationship with God, He really is such a girl dad. He just gifts me things, and makes it so easy for me. Just like I think about it with the story of Ruth as well. With Ruth, she didn't go work really hard to like get whatever she wanted or like get the husband or like get the work and everything. No, she showed up and everything was given to her. Like Boaz was like, make sure she has this, make sure she has that, make sure she's okay. Here, you're gonna do this and everything, but like everyone's gonna do all of the hard labor for you and everything. So all of the great things in my life have been like that, right? And that's how I know that, yeah, this was from God. I know He's like holding my hand through this and everything. Like He smiles down, He smiles at me, or like it's like He gives me a whole bouquet whenever He wants me to do something, especially something like really big that's gonna impact my life, like choosing to do film for my, But how I'm going to use it, I've actually been working on 3 different film concepts / series concepts on what it's like being a teenager and a Christian and all that. I think parts of my testimony could, 1, make a really good film, and 2, I think it's a story that a lot of people struggle with, because when I tell them about what my BC life was before, no one believes me. No one believes that I still have videos of me dancing on tables at clubs. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy business. And then you're like, I wish, and I've noticed that there's a lot of people that there isn't any media or any content for the girlies out there that have grown up walking with Christ and like fully actually staying on the course. And I want to make something for them, but not like something that's like cringe, and like something interesting, something artistic, just like what the world does for like regular random things. Do you know what I mean? I want them to look at it and be like, wow, this was beautiful. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to speak to them in the most colorful and creative ways that you could see, instead of it just being like borderline documentary. Like, don't get me wrong, I really like all of the Christian movies and everything, right? But a movie that really like spoke to me, that was like really cool, was Redeeming Love. Do you get it? Like, it was different, and I think that's what I want for Christian creators. I want them to be different. I want them to grow. I want them to fill the spaces, and I want to be one of those people that fills the spaces that were left out for people of our community. So yeah.
What are some challenges that you think you have faced working in this industry as a Christian filmmaker?
So, you know how I said when God wants me to be in a space, he'll like give me a bouquet? I actually haven't faced any challenges. It's been so good. Like, yes, there have been instances where people are like, no, I want to do like a satanic cult whatnot on my set, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And they'll listen to me. And I have so many worldly friends who have respected, one, my policies, like what I stand for, my faith and everything. Like, they respect it. Like, especially the smokers, they'll go away, smoke, spray themselves, and then come back and have a chat with me. Or like, let's say they want to have very questionable scripts and everything, and I'm like, no, we're not doing that. They're like, okay, Jen, you're uncomfortable, we'll work around it, you know? And like, other spaces where like people have even stopped swearing around me, right? And it's such a beautiful thing to see how God can work in people's hearts around me, especially in a space where it's not meant for me. Do you get what I mean? So I think God is really working, especially around the people that are around me. I know there's some people, I'm friends with a lot of people that are agnostic or atheist because of church hurt and everything. And they don't come to me saying, no, but you're God this, no, but you're God that. No, they've been really like, oh, you're Christian? I used to be Christian, but I'm really hurt. I just don't understand how a God who's meant to bring so much love and peace and joy can allow for so much hurt. And I was like, okay, I understand that. And I don't want to like preach to you or like tell you, no, turn to Christianity right now. I want to be a friend and like be the friend that Christ would be to them. Do you get what I mean? And like sometimes you just need to know how to speak to people as a Christian, and don't like force your religion on them, but like be what Christ wanted you to be to them, so that they see the goodness of Christ in me and not like on top of them. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I haven't really faced any issues. It's been pretty smooth sailing actually. I mean, besides little squabbles, but it wasn't about my faith. It was because of like technical things. But yeah.
If God had to grow your platform right now, so you win a bunch of Oscars and everything, what would be your speech to another young Christian character?
Oh my gosh, I've been thinking about my Oscar speech. Oh my gosh. Oh damn guys, I swear I had it written down somewhere. Okay. My Oscar speech would be little derivatives from different people's speeches and all that, because again, I'm really into the whole artistic aspect of it, and I feel like God has spoken to a lot of different people in many different ways, or spoken through them, especially during the Oscars. Like if you watch some people's Oscar speeches, like it can be it's so Bible coded sometimes. Do you get what I mean? And it's so beautiful. So I'm gonna try my best, and this is gonna be off the top of my head. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for this prize. I couldn't have done this without one God and Jesus, because honestly, they brought me this far. It was not me alone. I'd also love to thank my parents for having faith in this very crazy dream of mine. Yeah, I'm sorry, this is such an emotional time. I just want to say to the Christian creators out there, I love you. And I love each and every aspect of Christ in you and what Christ is doing through you. Faith without works is dead, and you're working faithfully. And I really love that a lot of you are jumping into spaces that were not made for you. And I want to tell you, keep being that light. Because I wanted to say Matthew 5, but I forgot it. I just forgot it. But be the salt of the earth. Yes, be the salt of the earth and be the light of the world. Because that's what God called you to be. And you can go so far. Don't let people treat your faith or your Christianity like it's a disability, especially in a space like this. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. Clearly, you're not alone. And I'm holding your hand through this just like God is, just like Jesus is. And I know you're going to be hit like a lot by a lot of people in this industry. I know you're going to be fought. I know you're going to face challenges and everything. But God is there with you. He's walking with you. And if you don't see his footsteps, he's carrying you. And I just want to say that everything is going to be okay. Just keep smiling, keep recording, and keep on being a vessel that God created you to be. That's just a small draft.
Is that the motto that you have whenever things get tough?
Yeah, I always think to myself, I actually have a bunch of different mottos depending on the situation. So first, I'm going to be very honest with you, especially if I face problems here or in South Africa. I'm always like, you know what, at the end of the day, I'm here on a student visa. I can go back. The second one is, honestly, God didn't bring you this far just to bring you this far. That one works with temptation a lot. Because like, imagine you're fighting something and like the temptation is hard and you're thinking, no, I'm not gonna fall back because I've gotten this far and I didn't get this far just to get this far. Another one is YOLO. YOLO's a big one. And then, you know what? If God brought you here, if it's God's will, it's God's will. If it's God's will, it's God's will. So he will provide, you will get through it, and you're gonna power through it. I mean, you're still alive and breathing. I honestly thought I would die a lot earlier. But here I am, thriving and surviving. So yeah, that's part of the pep talk I give to myself.
To finally end this off, what is your go-to song?
My go-to song? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I have multiple go-to songs. First one, let's say this one, Waymaker. I got this case. This was confirmation actually. This case was confirmation that I was meant to be here, right? So I bought it for my birthday last year. And this was the song that my friends and I used to sing on, let's say we'd be driving home from like a picnic date and whatever, and I forgot to put fuel in my car. That happened a lot. I would forget to put fuel in my car. I'd be on E, I'd be driving slowly in neutral, and we'd be singing the song on repeat. And I'd make it home in time, or make it to a gas station. Or whenever I was going through it with my friends, we'd always sing Waymaker, Miracle Worker. And then when I went back home last year, in the April holiday for my birthday, I was like, guys, this is rough. This is like, that place is so worldly. I'm going through it. And then I saw this phone case, and then they were like, Jen, it's a sign. It's a sign. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. So if I were to say my go-to songs, I would say would be More Than Able and Waymaker. Because whenever I'm going through it, I always listen to More Than Able first, and then sometimes a mix of symphonies, because I really like classical music, but specific classical music that's really orchestrated. Yeah, I've explained it to you. And then Waymaker as well, and I'll just sit in my bed listening to those songs. Ooh, and Crazy Love. Oh, I love Crazy Love. Oh, such a beautiful song. I'm walking down the aisle to that song. But yeah, there's a bunch of different, and there's this one song that we used to sing as well in school. Again, I went to an Anglican school. I forgot most of the lyrics, but it was always, Lord Jesus Christ, you have come to us, you are one with us, Lord our, something like that. No, it wasn't Lord our God. But anyways, that's the song I would sing whenever I'm being cooked. Whenever I'm going through it, whenever I want to cry, I'll go to a corner, or I'll sing it out loud even, and I'll start singing, Lord Jesus Christ. Like I'm really praying for him to walk with me, because, yeah, I need him. But yeah, those are my list of go-to songs.
That's okay.
Oh, yay!